A teenage cancer patient in the UK has managed to raise millions of dollars for charity. Stephen Sutton's story has gone viral. What implications does it raise for charity fundraising? And should we be taking a closer look at how the money is spent? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Hazem Seeker. A British teenager, Stephen Sutton, was diagnosed with terminal cancer at the age of 15. But he fought the disease, and more than 3 years later, he's still fighting. When he found out about his illness, Stephen also decided to start raising money for charity. So far, he's raised more than $3 million for cancer research. In a moment, we'll talk more about the issues this raises for the fundraising industry as a whole and the power of the internet. But first, Catherine Stansel in London with more on Stephen Sutton's story.
Even in one of his final pictures, he gives a smile and a thumbs up. Since being diagnosed with cancer over 3 years ago, Stephen Sutton has never lost his positive attitude. He's turned his illness into action, creating a Facebook page and an online documentary about his struggles against a disease that's quickly taking its toll.
Kind of look around and see other people, and they've got loads of time, but they might not have the motivation. Well, they can't really give me their time, but what I can try and do is just kind of give them my motivation, and that's the aim.
Stephen also created a bucket list of things to accomplish before he dies, including skydiving. At the top of that list, raising £10,000, roughly $17,000, for a cancer charity. 15 months later, he's surpassed that modest goal, raising more than $3 million, thanks to the hundreds of thousands of people around the world following his story. The use of social media to raise money and awareness is a growing trend. Most recently, the no-makeup selfie swept the internet to highlight cancer research.
Social media can be a very powerful way of charities to amplify their message, because even in just talking to one person, that person talks to somebody else and talks to somebody else via social media, and suddenly you're talking to a huge network of people who really are interested in what you're doing and the effect that you're having.
Nearly a third of charity supporters in Britain say that they were inspired to donate because of social media. 50% of them say they follow their favourite charity on Facebook, 30% on Twitter, and that's had a huge impact on the way people give. Last year, more than 20% donated online, compared to just 4% by phone. While the internet may get the message out quicker, it also carries more risks.
I can effectively be anonymous and untraceable, and this is where it enables scammers, attackers, cyber criminals to deliver attacks and steal money from individuals without really any risk to them personally of being taken to court.
But Stephen's story is a positive example of how one person can use the virtual world to bring people together to raise awareness and much needed funds. Catherine Stansel, Al Jazeera, London.
Well, Stephen's story is one of personal triumph against the odds, but charity fundraising can also be big business. Every year, people around the world give billions to charity, but not all the money goes straight to the people who need it most. The UK is top of the developed world for giving money to charity, with 76% of people giving to good causes every month. But in August, the charity watchdog found that 30 NGO bosses were making six-figure salaries or more. In the US, a year-long investigation found the 50 worst charities in America give less than 4% of the donations they receive in direct aid. So lots to talk about there with our guests then. Carolyn Davidge is Director of Communications at Cancer Research UK and joins us from London. In Manchester, we have Othman Mokbel, the CEO of Human Appeal International. But first, let's go to English actor and comedian Jason Manford, who joins us now on the phone. Thanks for being with us. Now, incredible story this. Just tell us, first of all, how you met Stephen Sutton and just how you got involved with all of this.
Well, I've known Stephen for only very briefly. We do a gig for the Cancer Trust at the Royal Albert Hall in London every year. And it's an amazing, a lovely charity. And we're always, meeting the kids who aren't very well, And I met Stephen doing that very briefly. But I actually re-met him recently in March, and then it was only when I saw his online appeal, I saw that he wasn't, he was on sort of, he wasn't very well. He was in his last sort of, I think he did his last thumbs up for the charity, and that's when I got involved.
And it's just amazing as well to see a young man like this be so humble and so positive about his situation. I mean, I suppose that's a big reason why the public has responded to him in such a massive way.
Well, I think that's what it is. I think that because, let's be honest, when it comes to charity, everyone is gaining something. Even if you're paying the money and donating some money, you're going to get something out of it. You feel like yourself, or if it's a celebrity, they get some nice, jolly PR that goes alongside it. And whereas the thing with Stephen is that he's not going to get anything out of it at all, because he's terminally ill with cancer. So he's literally doing it for the good of other people who he'll probably never meet. Children who aren't even diagnosed with cancer yet are going to be getting something out of this for many years after Stephen is no longer with us.
Indeed, you were talking earlier there about how a number of celebrities have got involved in this, and we were just showing some pictures of some of them there, and how they've got involved in this through social media, just like you have. I mean, what does this say about the power of social media in 2014, and just how much of a benefit it is in fundraising like this?
Well, it's massive. I found out that Stephen had raised £500,000 by himself. And that was on Tuesday, sort of mid-afternoon. About 6 o'clock on Tuesday, I've got about 700,000 followers on Facebook and about another 100,000 on Twitter. And I thought to myself, well, he wanted to get to 1 million. If everybody who follows me gives £1, then he'll do it. That was just sort of amplifying his message, And so I posted that on the evening, got a couple of friends of mine who've got a lot of followers as well to get involved. And by 10:30 the next morning, we'd topped the 1 million mark, and another 24 hours gone by, and we topped the £2 million mark. So, and it's still going on now. I think we're at 2.3 million or something, 2.4 million. So it just carries on, and of course we're speaking on Jazeera, we're speaking to people in America and Australia. I mean, there's no other way of getting to speak to all these amazing worldwide broadcasters without it igniting by social media. And social media is a microcosm of society. People focus on, oh well, there's bullying, oh well, there's people who are untoward and try and rip people off, and well, that happens in real life as well. And so social media is a microcosm of society, and what this shows is that there's more good people than bad people, and that's one of Stephen's messages, and that is a good message to know when you're in your darkest time and your loneliest time. Remember that there's more good people than bad people, and social media shows us that when this sort of magical event happens.
Indeed, it is an incredibly inspiring message, and the response that he's gotten from the public has been way beyond, I'm sure, his expectations and everybody else's. Good to speak with you, Jason Manford there. Let's turn now to Caroline Davidge and Othman Mokbel, who join us now from London and Manchester. Caroline Davidge, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about Stephen Sutton and the response that he's gotten and the issues it raises for charities as a whole. What do you make of it all?
I just think that Stephen's achievement is absolutely incredible, and as Jason said, it's that sense of a little bit of magic. Social media has been a fantastic engagement tool for charities since it started, a decade or so ago. But what we're really seeing now, there are the opportunities to raise money. And for Cancer Research UK, the no makeup selfie was the most fantastic example of that. It literally started as a bit of a craze on Facebook. Within about a day, £1 million had been raised. And by the end of the week, £8 million had been raised for Cancer Research UK's work to beat cancer. I mean, what an incredible achievement.
Certainly is, Uthman Mokbel. Do you think this kind of raises the bar now for charities and introduces them to new ways to try and raise money for their causes?
Yes, definitely, especially now the competition is very high between the charities, so they have to think out of the box and find new ways of fundraising. And social media now is, I can say, even in our charity, the social media or the digital fundraising, let us say in general, brings at least 40% of the total income of our fundraising activities. So every time we have to think about really out of the box and using new ways. And the other thing, because just you mentioned something about the celebrities, as well, we had in the last 2 years a lot of activities with some celebrities, not only in social media, but also organizing a few events, activities, concerts here and there. And this year we are organizing the biggest in Europe, 20 cities, concert with some singers or nasheed artists in the UK and in Europe as well, to find new ways of fundraising.
Carolyn Davidge, is there more then perhaps that organizations and charities can be doing then to harness the power of social media in fundraising?
Well, as I say, I think that when social media first started, charities did immediately get very interested in it because, of course, we've all got limited budgets, and being able to use social media is a very cost-effective way of reaching, you know, our supporters and the people who need to benefit from us was really, really important. And I think it's literally been just in the last couple of years that we've begun to see that potentially it offers us a different way of people giving to the charity as well. I mean, the no makeup selfie took us by complete surprise, and we were just overwhelmed by everybody's generosity. But actually, you know, with more than 1 in 3 people being diagnosed with cancer in the UK, getting a windfall of £8 million has enabled us to fund 10 clinical trials that we didn't think that we'd be able to fund, and that will help us, you know, bring forward the day when more cancers are cured and enable us to beat cancer sooner, and that's what it's all about. And if social media can help charities achieve those sorts of objectives, that is just incredible.
Do you not worry, though, about Carolyn Davidge? Do you not worry about things like donor fatigue? I mean, this is something that comes up whenever there's been a great charity fundraising drive and it's exceeded all the expectations, that somehow, you know, might... The public may not be able to respond in the same way the next time that they're called on to give of themselves, to give further money.
You're so right that charities are often asked about an issue like donor fatigue, but actually we don't seem to see it in reality. You only have to look at the success of, you know, Sport Relief this year. There have been, you know, almost every year brands like Comic Relief and Sport Relief, you know, get more money. We have with Stand Up to Cancer and our partnerships, we just seem to be able to, you know, keep audience with us. And I think it's because an issue like cancer in particular just touches so many people's lives. So I think it's important to, you know, be creative and to think about the best ways of, you know, talking to your audience about your organisation, and very, very important to demonstrate the impact that you're making with that money. For us, I mean, we're really, really clear to show that in the last 40 years, survival rates from cancer have doubled, and it's thanks to research that, you know, that progress has been made. And the other important thing that we like to tell people is that if you give us £1, 80 pence in that pound will go straight towards our work to beat cancer. So again, that's, I think, a really important message for people to hear, that charities are making the most of the donations that they do get, and that helps people trust and know where their donation is going.
Yeah, let's talk more about that with Uthman Mokbel. I mean, this brings up the issue of transparency. Very often people who donate money to these very worthy charities, they don't always know where the money is going all the time. How important is it to be completely transparent about this and to let people know just exactly where all this money is going and who exactly it's going to help?
No, that is very important topic, to be honest. As the donors who give money, they want to see where their money exactly goes, where this money really goes. So transparency is very important. For example, in our charity, we use all kind of ways to show that kind of transparency. One example for one of the ways we show that, we take donors with us to the field where we work in 24 countries around the world. We try to take take in every trip I go abroad. Usually I have few donors, volunteers, they come with us and they see the work where this money, when they fundraise for a project, that money, they see the impact of that project, how the people in the ground benefited from that project. So when they come back, they come with more power, more energy to do more activities in order to support and help the people around the world. So definitely transparency is something essential in our work, and we have to show how can we change the life of the people, how can we use this money according to the wish of the donors, and in addition to the according to the laws, and where can people benefit from every penny of this money.
Carolyn Davidge, we touched on this a little bit earlier about celebrities and when they get involved in charities, and we can be very cynical about this and say, well, a lot of them are just kind of doing it to help their own image, and I know Jason Manford just kind of touched on that, and whether that's true or not, regardless of that, the impact that you have of a famous name behind something is undeniable, isn't it?
Completely. I mean, I think as a society we are just really, really interested in famous people, and I think that that's the power that, you know, anybody who is famous can have with a charity, by lending their name, by lending their support, retweeting something that we have said, coming in, appearing at an event that we had. It absolutely just helps to really sort of build awareness, build the publicity, and helps to raise the fundraising. So I mean, I'm really, really grateful for every single celebrity supporter that we have. They do a fantastic job, and we couldn't do it without them.
Uthman Muqbil, I mean, what's your view on that? I mean, you talked earlier about how important celebrities are in the charities and the fundraising drives that you're involved in.
Yes, I think now art and the charity, they really come together in a very nice combination. And we started a few activities 2 years ago, and we will continue that with some singers, some nasheed artists, those who are, especially, you know, young people these days, they really like some kind of that nasheed, etc. So we started, and I think we had a very successful example. And as I said earlier, that this year we're moving from, we started from 3 cities in the UK. Last year it was 12 cities, and this year we are doing 20 cities around, not only in the UK, but around Europe. With some nasheed artists and singers who can really bring their experience to support a cause of needy people around the world. And some of them even, they visited, they went with us, they visited the field, they saw how when they supported our projects in 2011, how that they saw everything on the ground, how that support benefited the people. So therefore we increased the number of the cities last year, and this year we are doing more. So I think it's really these days there are many celebrities, they are doing a very good job, very good work to support the charities, support the cause, and support the needy people around the world.
Carolyn Davidge, when we ran that graphic at the beginning of the program, and we showed there about how some of the money for these charities doesn't always go to the right place. Some of it goes to the senior people who are on 6-figure salaries and all the rest of it. When people see stories like that, and then they see also stories about charity scams, just kind of playing on the public's goodwill, how much of a knock-on effect does that have on the work of genuine charities and their fundraising efforts?
So I think it has never been more important for charities to be transparent about the costs that they have. I mentioned earlier on that 80% of every pound that we are given goes to our work. That is a published figure that you can read about on our website. We publish our annual report and our accounts on our website so that you can actually look at the costs and understand better about what we pay and why we have to pay for things.
Sure, but charities like yourself are good at doing that. What about the ones that don't do that? I mean, how do you legislate for that? How do you force them to be more transparent?
So, I mean, every charity is required by the Charity Commission to, publish information about their accounts. So, so anybody who is worried about a charity that they perhaps have given to or want to give to and want to find out more about, they can check that out with something like the Charity Commission. So, I'd encourage people to do that. I mean, clearly, if a charity does ever make a mistake, that can have an impact on others. But it happens very rarely, in my experience. Most charities are committed to trying to do the best with the money that they get from their donors to make impact for their beneficiaries.
And Uthman Muqbil, when you see Stephen Sutton's story, I mean, first of all, did it surprise you, the sort of response that he's gotten? I mean, surely this is good news for someone like yourself, who is in the fundraising business.
No, I think this really doesn't surprise me, because I have good experience in this, and I can say that the general public, regardless of the recession in the last 2-3 years, but they still give when they see a very important cause in front of them, and when they see such people, they come forward and support the cause of the charities around the world. Just I want to comment about the transparency just quickly, if possible, that you yourself, anyone in the world can go to the Charity Commission website and check any single charity in the UK, and you can read the reports for the last 10 years, not only this year, and exactly you can see how much money they spend, how much money they collected, how much money they spend on fundraising, how much money they spend on admin. So that really brings, I think the Charity Commission is doing a very good job in putting this kind of legislations to make this very clear in their website. So I think this is as well another good way. So every donor simply can go to the website to the Charity Commission website and check the name of the charity and the history of that charity, and then decide if he wants to give to this charity or that charity. Sometimes, yes, I agree that some people might abuse the system, but I think this is very, very rare cases, and as far as I know, most of the charity really, they are committed to follow the regulations and to have that kind of transparency in their work. And
when we talk about this on a more global scale, Uthman Muqbil, which countries have been the most charitable? I mean, we talked earlier there about the UK and the number of people there who've given money to charity and the percentages and so on. What other countries have you found have been among the most generous in your work?
UK for us is really I can feel at least #1 for us and for our work. But I read some statistics about the most generous people in Europe, which is the Irish people. So Ireland, despite of all the recession and the financial difficulties in the last few years, but the Irish people, they are the most generous people in the world. So every 7 people, 1 at least give to a charity. So therefore, we are doing well now in Ireland as well, because we have offices in Europe, UK, Ireland, France, and in Spain we will be soon. So I think I really appreciate the work of the Irish people supporting the causes around the world.
Caroline Davidge, how important is the human element in all of this? I mean, we can talk a lot about, we can put out lots of statistics and talk about how acute the need is for something. But when you look at Stephen Sutton's story and you look at this one person that kind of encapsulates the whole thing, how important is that?
I can't underestimate the importance of the real human side, particularly of cancer. And I think, Stephen's story, I mean, is tragic, of course. This is a young man who has a very aggressive form of cancer, but the good that he is doing at the moment is just absolutely fantastic, and it touches people's hearts. One of the things, it's very easy, as you say, to talk about statistics, and statistics are important. I mean, the fact that survival rates have doubled in the last 40 years for cancer, is a really important message for people to hear. It's those stories that actually bring meaning to the causes that we're representing here today.
Indeed, and on that inspiring note, we've got to leave it. Thank you to both of our guests, Caroline Davidge and Uthman Muqbil. And as always, you can add your voice to the discussion online. We're on facebook.com/AJ Inside Story, or get in touch with us on Twitter at AJ Inside Story. That's the name. From everyone here, I'm Hazem Seeker. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.